question whether or not that was an old joke that I wrote probably 9 years ago. The group of bikies called the Pumpkin Eaters who flew into town. I went for years running off all these spiels that I believe you eventually knocked off, I think, at one point and used them.
You believe that?
Of course I believe it.
And what was the year that you did them in?
The year that I did them in, well, it's hard to say, you see, because in my previous life I actually did them back in about 1962. I was 2 at the time, but highly educated for my age. And why?
Well, I just wondered. You know, I can remember when I first used it.
A lot of people have often asked me, by the way, where your goatee came from, and I told them that it all started with hairs growing out of your nose, and that they just continued to grow, and you just cut those you went along. Is that correct? Now, actually, to tell you the truth, though, you're a very handsome man. You know that.
Well, I thought this was going to be a serious interview.
No, it is a serious interview. Tell me a bit more about myself.
Well, Scott, it all started probably quite a number, 10 years or so ago. 11 years ago.
When you were down and out.
When this little... there are certain words can't be used on TV.
Such as bum or...
Bastard.
Bastard. Was I a bastard, though? I was only 17.
Well, you were overbearing.
I was a little bastard.
You were certainly overbearing. And many things happened over the years. I prefer not to talk about them.
No.
There are some nice things that could be said about you, but I just can't think of them.
But let's see, I mean, if I recall correctly, you were the one who taught me to do things like leave briefcases in restaurants and things like this with $11,000 in cash in them. Do you deny that that's what you did? Do you deny that you lost the airline tickets? Do you deny that you left the car doors unlocked and got all our gear stolen in New Zealand? Do you deny all of this?
Well, I don't know. Do you deny that you lost a very good stereo setup of mine that you left under somebody's bed because you wanted to fit them in the back seat of the car when you took them to some sports do and then forgot to pick it up, and it's never ever been picked up?
Did we never claim
rather
those?
Expensive.
That was in Mackay at the time, wasn't it?
In Mackay, yes.
And
that's only one of the things.
In the same street that Bob Garland lived.
And do you recall going into the
Street,
restaurant in Darwin and saying, "That's a big bottle of gin," and going like that, and you knocked the whole thing on the floor and I had to pay for it?
I
One
don't
of those
remember.
great big bottles.
Do you remember?
Do you recall going
in
into the bank
with
when
the American
Express sign and
it
you
was you who
said,
went like that?
"Look, American
and
Express,
knocked it
that
off
sign
onto
had been
the
there
floor?
for 30 years, but you knocked it on the floor." And
You
broke it.
knocked it on the floor.
Do you recall some of those things? I
No.
can think of many more too.
Do you know?
Do you recall losing my blindfold when I had to do the show? And I told you that, and at about 7:30, that if the blindfold wasn't there, I didn't have a blindfold by 8 o'clock when the show was to start, you were sacked. Do you remember what you did?
Listen, I remember.
You raced around and found a tailor who was working back late and had him make one up quickly. Do you remember that?
Did I not do the job though? I got one made up quickly.
You got it all right, but
even though you lost
do
it.
you recall at Rockhampton where the blindfold was locked in a shopping centre and we were showing at Japoon? And I said, unless you can get that blindfold out by the time the show starts, you're sacked. And you had to drive all the way over, and you had to find somebody who had keys to get to the shopping centre, and you came back about 10 minutes late with the blindfold.
And did I have the blindfold?
You did it?
Yes.
You were shit scared, I can tell you.
We can't use words like that on the camera. No, but all in all, I think it was a very, very good relationship for the first 15 minutes. And then it started to go downhill, is that correct?
Well, I wouldn't like to say why it had been downhill.
No, actually, it was a very, very good relationship. You took me from 17 years old through to 22. Then you met up with Angela Williams, or Angela Stevenson.
Well, I had met Angela prior to that.
Yes, now you thought she was quite good looking at the time, didn't you? So you took her on.
That's right. Who wouldn't? Look at her now, she's sitting on the chair there.
Yes, I know.
Hasn't changed a bit.
No.
And when I think of the wonderful times we had together in Germany, remember what we used to have together in Germany, Angela?
Nookies?
What?
I know about it, even though I'm her husband.
We did enjoy those.
Yes, you
especially
did.
the chocolate-coated ones.
Banana Ecuador? Ecuador bananas?
Bananas from Ecuador?
Ecuador bananas?
Let's make it clear that nookies in German are ice cream treats.
Yes, ice cream treats in Germany. And Angela and I joined you and we promoted the daylights out of the Pacific Hotel show on the Gold Coast. Do you remember that?
There are some things I prefer not to remember, Scott.
All right. Well, skipping over that, we went to Germany.
We know that. We both went.
Yes, we did. And we had a very nice greeting at the airport.
We were met with the press and champagne and
then
cocktails, and they gave me a beautiful bunch of flowers.
And then
I gave it to Angela as soon as we got out of
and
the
then it
airport.
fizzled, and that was the highlight, and it went downhill from there.
That was the biggest thing. The reception was the biggest thing that happened to us.
That's right. And then I finally came across a little place called the Isle of Man after doing much investigation and a few phone calls, and we went to the Isle of Man. Is that correct?
And then remember on the Isle of Man, on that train going to Ramsey, when you suddenly got the inspiration to compose that song.
I'll always remember.
Would you sing it to us, Scott?
From May until September, we'd spend on the Isle of Man. From the moment you got there, there'd be magic everywhere, with entertainment for the young and old. They had carriages pulled by horses and the famous TT courses. You can do what you want no matter what you want to do. It was incredible words, really, when you think about it now.
The lyrics were good.
They were good lyrics. I mean, you know, would have put the Bee Gees to shame.
Yeah, probably.
Yes. So after all, after I was really another shot in the arm for your career then, really, wasn't I? I mean, after that, you never looked back. I mean, you know...
I was game.
You just kept running. Yes. And, of course, without you, I wouldn't be where I am now. Broke, destitute, and wishing that I'd never entered the entertainment industry. No, no.
Achieve something.
No. Yes, so I've gone on to bigger and better things. You've gone on to be bigger. And better, may I say.
One thing I like about you, Scott, as an interviewer, thank you very much. There's one thing I like about you as an interviewer, the person being interviewed doesn't have to say anything, you can just sit there.
I remember that when I did my first Village People interview. Now, it's been really good being the Village People. You've made 10,000 records, haven't you? Yes, you have. It was great. No, but seriously, all said and done. I want to make a toast
Well, there's
to
a
you.
toaster over there, and there's also a little cooker that can make
Yes, I've
toast.
seen it, that you got Val for Christmas or whatever it was. A toast to success, to you, to your success, to my success, to a safe trip over to England as you leave next week. To you.
Well, Scott, I think we should finish this interview. So all the very best.
Cheers, dears.
You won't forget me, will you?
I will never
You'll
forget.
never forget me,
I
will you?
would never ever forget you.
Even if I don't come back and I'll stay away for 20 years, you won't forget me.
Never ever.
You would never forget me.
I promise I'll never forget you.
Just before we go, one little joke.
Yes.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
See, you've forgotten me already.
Bye bye. Cheers,
Cheers.
dears.